What do we look like?
So you're having to set one up, sort of like in a hurry here. We can put all the details on the headings and everything later. Oh, shame.
You're going to start.
We're live, are we?
Yeah.
Yeah, people wouldn't get the notification now, but...
Okay, we're live. And apologies, we had a few problems today, which was entirely Jane's fault because she distracted me when I was setting it up the other day.
I don't think so. I think it must be your spirits around you.
She was trying to serve me lunch when we were trying to do this. So we'll say hello to you as you start to join us. So I think I'll have to explain what we're going to be doing tonight because you'd have lost the description now. And hopefully those that went to the other link will hopefully spot this link. So we might be a few on the ground to what we normally are. So since Halloween is coming up and we're dressed in a suitable funereal purple, and
you speak for yourself, cheeky thing.
Hi Cole. Okay, say hello as you come in, folks. We're going to talk about Halloween basically, and we're going to talk about does it become thin between the two worlds when we connect on Halloween? Yeah. Nana Rosebud, hi there. So yeah, good to see you coming in again, folks. So sorry about the mix-up tonight. I don't know if you found the different link and you found us again. So it's nice that we're seeing you come in. Hi Kathy. Hi Justine. Stacy. Hello from Pennsylvania, USA. Hi. Of course, you go wild on Halloween there, don't you? In the States.
They do here now too.
Yeah. Kathy Murray. Hi, Craig and Jane.
Hi.
Now we got Alex. The word you must never mention.
Don't say it. Also the other one with G.
Hi Debbie. God, we've had the spirits have been interfering tonight, haven't they?
Beatrice. Hello, Beatrice.
We've had a ghost in the
New
machine.
York.
Hi Beatrice.
Lisa. Hi Lisa.
Hi,
you know
Lisa.
Lisa.
Yeah. Well, it's good to see.
We
were getting worried we weren't going to have anybody tonight because we had to suddenly change the URL.
Paula.
So apologies to those that
Evening,
missed
Paula.
us. Hiya. Good, and people coming in from YouTube too. So it's working out. Yes, I think spirits contact us on Halloween. Yes, I think maybe they do. That's one of the things we're going to have a talk about. Technical support we could have done with your help today. Technical support, actually.
Hey, that's me.
Hi.
Not them there, sorted it all out within seconds. Sandy, hi there, Sandy. So we'll say hello to everybody as you come in. We'll have a chat about it in a minute. And have any questions and any quirky stories and any thoughts you have about Halloween, we'll share those with us tonight too, will you please, folks? Vanessa, hi there.
Fleming from Denmark.
Oh yeah, we've had a few people in from Denmark each week. A few regulars again coming in, and a lot of people that's new. Carlo, have we seen Carlo before?
I don't think so.
Recognise you, Carlo, but hi, Sally Harper.
Oh, we recognise this one.
We recognise this one. This one's trouble. I thought you got rid of her, Domenico. I thought Kathleen Boyd. Hi there.
Kathleen from California. Hello, good evening. Doreen Bridges. Hello.
Hello from Illinois. Is that how you pronounce it? I think. Ava. Hi, Greg and Jane. YouTube not working. Oh, I think we have got YouTube back on.
Yeah, it's on now.
But we had to change the URL. We have a system that puts broadcasts all of it at once, so we had to stop, reboot, and start again. Some idiot messed it up. Patricia Schultz from Germany. You've changed you used to have the Fox on there, I think, didn't you, Patricia? Oh, you're coming in from Facebook, not YouTube. That's what it is. Yes. Gail. And so it's always wise to subscribe to us on both YouTube and Facebook to make sure you get from Japan. All right, that's good. Yeah, good.
Steiner from Norway.
Yes.
Skoll, Steiner.
I know a lot of Steiners from Norway. And Ben, hi there, Ben. We're going to be talking about Halloween tonight, folks, if you're just joining us.
Oh, that's nice.
Judy Guest.
That's lovely.
My two favourite people. That's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm my two favourite people too.
Two people in one.
We're going to talk about Halloween. So if you've got any interesting questions about that, you can ask us. And we're going to talk a little bit about some of the things from that. From Indiana, Texas.
in Texas.
Texas. We've been.
Gail, hi Gail. Thank you for the chocolates.
All right, these people. God, they sending you chocolates.
Chocolates.
If you want to send me chocolates and flowers, do please feel free.
Or he can send his washing.
Jewel.
That's a nice name, isn't it?
Yeah. Jewel's an unusual name, isn't it? Yeah,
Jewel Love.
So
That's
nice to
nice.
see you, folks. I'm glad you're coming in. We're going to leave it just a little bit to let everybody come in because the URL would have just propagated. You'll just be getting it through your box in your inbox. Ooh, Jane, you look fabulous. That week went spookily quickly. Looking forward to your company again and hearing about the thin veil.
Oh, that's good.
So you got the right thing about the thin veil between this world and the next during Halloween.
Harry Potter borrows my clothes sometimes. They do. They come here and they want to go in my wardrobe.
They ask.
They go in my wardrobe.
Yeah. They come and say if you can give them some advice about how.
Even Dame Edna likes to look in my wardrobe.
And Bowden, love you too from Mansfield Woodhouse.
Where's that, Craig?
No idea actually.
Andrew Roberts, hello.
From Chesterley Street, North England. I think I made a reply to your comments today, actually, Andrew, because I recognised the fairy post. Carolyn Hunter, be the ghost playing up tonight.
Oh, well,
yeah, Ghost in the Machine, isn't it? I mean, something went wrong there tonight, but we sorted it out. You know, we have fantastic technical support in the background with Domenico here, frantically getting everything working for us within seconds. Ashley, hi there from Texas, I suppose.
You suppose.
The TX, I guess that's Texas.
We've got a weasels here. Twilight weasels.
From sunny Salak.
Yeah.
I didn't know they had weasels. From sunny California. From Ireland. They're the ones that are responsible for some of this Halloween stuff, taking it to America.
The Banshees, Craig. The Banshees in Ireland.
The Americans took it all, didn't they, from Ireland? Ireland and Scots.
The veil between spirit world and the earth is very thin over the weekend, so heightened psychic awareness, full moon in Taurus conjuncted Uranus.
Yes, I had asteroids in conjunction with my Uranus once, and it caused an awful lot of troubles.
You'll be mature enough not to laugh at that.
Yeah. You have to be a real intellectual not to laugh at that one.
Hi from New Zealand, Joe. Hi, Joe.
Hi, Joe.
Darren B. Hello from Nottingham. Hi, Darren. Jenny Baker. Namaste from Jenny in Eastbourne. Namaste.
Rhoda from Southport too. Well, we're glad we got plenty of people. We were worried for a minute. We thought we might just talking to the walls.
That's nice. Apple. Hello, Jane and Craig. Greetings from Switzerland. I think Apple's been on before.
Good. So it looks like a lot of you found the link when it went live straight away. So that's rather good. I expect there's a lot of people looking at a blank page there too. That other one.
Harry from Reading. Hi, Harry. I know Harry.
Do you believe in ghosts? It depends what we mean by ghosts, but yes, we can talk about things like that, particularly since it's Halloween, everyone. So we're going to talk about Halloween. Yes. So what do we know about Halloween, first of all?
Well, we know Halloween is a pagan thing and possibly come from the Celtics, and it was November the 1st, wasn't it? All Saints and the Pope distorted it all.
Yeah, it was originally a thing called, it's spelt Samhain, but it's pronounced Samhain. Samhain was the old ancient, like you said, the Celtic festivals. That's right. I've been reading up a bit about it. I've got a few notes here, so I just don't need to.
I'm a woman with wisdom.
But it is interesting. The more you actually dig into it and start looking into it, it's really actually quite a fascinating idea. Well, it was their old New Year.
Actually, somebody on Facebook was walking down the lane last night and they heard horses' hoofs and there was nobody around by the mount, you know where the old mount was, and because somebody jokingly said, I expect somebody had some coconuts and making those sound. She said, and she saw a horse coming towards her and it disappeared.
Really? Horses up that road?
Yes.
You wouldn't get horses up there.
No, a ghostly apparition.
So it sounds interesting.
It's an apparition.
When was that? Last night?
Yes.
How did you know that then?
Because I saw it this morning and read it.
Oh, well, that's interesting. Interesting.
Yeah.
So this is
down Annington Lane, there's meant to be horses and a stagecoach that goes down there once a year, especially on Halloween.
Well, let's hope they drive away all the builders that are destroying all that beautiful area of countryside down there with their building.
Yeah.
So yeah, it goes on. So it still works then to this day. The idea. See, it used to be, from what I understand, it was between the two equinoxes. So it's halfway between the autumn and the winter equinox, and that halfway point for the Celts was the beginning of the new year. So it was like the death of the old year and the birth of the new year.
Yeah.
So it was actually a rebirth idea, really, not just a death thing. And Domenico's putting up little pictures.
I can see.
So it was kind of the idea of like, because a lot of people have, don't they? They have a lot of people have this idea that there's a time when the dead communicate. I mean, you have it in Mexico, don't you?
Well, Mexico, they actually dig the dead people up and they dress them every year and wash them.
Yeah.
And they like to give them meals and offerings and everything.
The Romans used to do this too.
Well, in the catacombs,
didn't we? And we saw, when we listened to all that.
Actually, we will do a ghost hut and a graveyard. I think we'll do a
We'll
live.
go to the catacombs in Italy with Domenico over here and do that. So there's a lot of other tradition. Yom Kippur is supposed to be a time of the Jewish things when the people feel that the spirit world's next to them. And certainly in India, I mean, I don't know if I mentioned it online, but I did a reading for one person recently, and they were asking me to do a communication with somebody in the spirit world from India. And I know they have lots of traditions and things, but I mentioned it before, I think. And he said, the spirit person said, you're feeding me food. You're feeding me food. And I was saying, showing me he's feeding me food all the time. And she said, oh, yes, this week, we've been doing special pujas in which we offer food to the dead, and it's the particular time.
I bet you would like a ghost to feed you food, wouldn't you? Great.
But it's like, the time.
Yeah.
When the veil for the Hindus was thin. Not right now. This was a month or so back. So it made me think, these special rituals that we do connect.
Well, I think Halloween, the energy is heightened, and we do get that atmosphere. And when the veil goes back, we do attract entities and from the spirit world.
Yeah, and
even from the underworld.
I think perhaps on these there are special times, aren't there, when there is when you can connect. And I wouldn't connect like this person's asking about playing with Ouija boards during Halloween, because I know a lot of people do that. And we did as kids, I must admit, over the graveyard, playing with a Ouija board and scaring the living daylights out of ourselves because messages would come through.
No, actually, you've got to have a medium that's in charge, what I call a doorkeeper, to actually bring spirit through. So you don't really need a Ouija board. There's some people, they do get correct information, I believe, but they can also make them, especially if people are on drugs or been drinking, they can get bad things that come through.
Yeah, the problem with the Ouija board is it's completely uncensored. So it also brings through a lot of the stuff out of your own fears that come through. I've had a lot of involvement with it in some respects, not mainly sorting people out that have had dangerous messages come through that have scared the living daylights out of them. And it does work. I've used it as a nipper. We did it with teenagers, like I said, and we were getting proper messages through. And I've done it in my circles before, and we used the Ouija board to see if but it's just such a lot of hard work, isn't it? I mean, for everybody present, it spells the name out, John or whatever it is, and gives the surname even, and everybody's going, woo. And of course, the medium does that anyway when you connect, don't you? So why go through all the blather of having a Ouija board when you can just connect mentally?
Well, people don't understand. They used to use those kind of things in the Victorian times.
I mean, Danielle used that Ouija board. I remember going to buy that Ouija board, didn't we? We got it when she was a child. Going out on a family outing to buy a Ouija board, didn't we? And
someone that had was only really a collectible one.
She had the thing. They were playing around with it, and they had it shoot right across the room. The glass kept moving. That's you got rid of it because it was giving you a hard time, wasn't it, in the house? And all sorts of things were happening around it.
And that doll that she bought.
That doll that
was
moved.
Yeah.
I was sitting on the sofa and I saw the doll moving all of a sudden, just turn her head.
Yeah.
And I was like, this doll goes away. And when we got the doll was the time that Damien got diagnosed with type 1, when we started to have
right. So, so it makes you wonder if these things don't attract some bad force.
Well, that's a supernatural thing, isn't it? That's happening.
But I do agree. I think the problem you see with the Ouija board, you're doing it on a very low level. You're doing it on the lowest level you can possibly communicate with the spirit world. There's no protection. There's no light.
Well,
there's no
the glass that's shooting across. Well, it could be telekinesis, couldn't it?
Psychokinesis, isn't it? Yeah.
Telekinesis.
Telekinesis. No, yes. I'm confused now. Yeah, but it
getting old.
It could be our own powers that make it move, or it could be the spirit world making it. So I definitely don't do that in Halloween.
Craig. Nana says there is a blue moon in Halloween. They say, does or can the moon really affect human emotions and make people go literally mad? And if it's blue, then does it enchant emotion? Well, they say that when there's a full moon, they used to refer to it as a lunar moon, didn't they? Lunacy. And they used to say psychiatric patients used
to work as a psychiatric nurse. And I
you
used to
need
be a
me
patient.
so much.
But you're fully trained. What was it? SRN nurse,
yes.
aren't you, for that? And working with
RMN.
Okay, whatever. But did you notice the wards would get trained?
Well, they did, and they used to sort of. It was the only time that I would really say that we had to seclude them and sedate them, because they used to kick windows out and everything. You know?
I've sometimes when I've done my mediumship and things, I've watched the moon, because you can get it on your Google Calendar to see when the moon is, and I've noticed that when the moon is full, it might be me just thinking it, but I do seem to think that the mediumship is more powerful on a full moon.
Well, do you know another interesting thing on a full moon? I believe that seahorses mate and produce.
All sorts of strange things happen on full moon, and so I think a full moon at any time is powerful. You see, one of the things with Halloween, we're talking about the ancient Celts there and things. I've got all these things about the Celts and things in front of me here, but they were in touch with nature, weren't they? We don't even know what's out there unless we look it up. We don't see the moon. And when I went to India, the people there are still kind of in touch with all these religious ceremonies that are happening at special times. They're talking about when Mars is in a certain position, and and when the moon is right, and things for the right astrological time for doing this, that, and the other. And particularly in southern India, I feel people are still in touch. So things like when I went to do that Shivarati, Mahashivarati and things, you could feel the power of the moon.
Oh, absolutely.
Then, you could feel the power of Mars in the sky.
Was it a crested moon you saw?
No, it was a full moon at that time. So you feel the power of
Isn't the Earth meant
things
to shake when there's two moons that pass?
Yeah, that's another sort of type of thing. But I think we've lost touch, haven't we? We've lost touch with our connection. And I think so the old Samhain or Halloween originally was when people were still in touch with the world in a different way. I think
we lose be in
touch with
this
now.
Ladies, next one, the blue moon.
Yes. Okay. The blue.
Yeah.
That blue moon is the first one since 1944 that will be one Halloween in every single time zone across the globe. God, I didn't know that.
That's true.
You've checked it out.
Yeah.
So that's a really interesting fact there. Twilight.
Weasel.
According to the Farmer's Almanac, the last time there's been a Halloween moon for all the time zones in the world on Halloween was 1944.
God.
That's interesting.
And just before the American elections, which is going to affect the whole world, and that's an interesting energy, I think, to it. And right in the middle of a coronavirus, which is another unusual energy in the world.
Yes, but you remember what the year is? What happens in the Hindu year? Kali
Yuga. And we're all in Kali Yuga for thousands of years, literally. So it's a kind of a. I mean, Halloween, like I say, was the old New Year. It was the time when the year changed from one to another, wasn't it? So perhaps that's a good thing, I think, that we have that power. But I mean, I see the full moon as a great thing, not as a negative thing. I see it as it's when the power is at its height for spiritual things.
And do you think the dead communicate more on Halloween?
Well, I do. Like I say, I think that we've lost touch with the seasons, and we've lost touch with what I would call. You see, I think of this thing as like there's spiritual seasons too. This is why this is why in India they're still in touch with that idea, as also the American Indians were in touch with this idea, and the Aborigines were in touch with this, and a lot of the early societies were in touch with this idea that we don't just get the seasons of the year, but the certain times are very spiritually significant and very also connected with the planet, and particularly the moon and the moon goddess. We've lost the feminine aspect of the goddess.
And I expect on Halloween tomorrow, people will be going around graveyards, taking photographs, hoping to catch ghosts and apparitions on cameras.
Yeah, the problem we've got now, though, you see, we've lost that. And what Halloween has turned into is a fun time for kids, which is great, great to have that. But what about originally, when you think about what they would have done there? This was the time when they used to sort of, it was the end of the year. It was the time when the animals were selected for slaughter. So, and they used to think that at that time, the dead used to come and visit the home, coming out, because we're coming into the winter months now, so sort of thing. So the dead used to come and visit the homes to be in the warm place. I find that so mysterious that we've lost all these things. It got hijacked by Christianity, basically.
Now,
too.
Andrew says, I like to think my ancestors are close around Halloween. I personally can't sense them, but it's nice thing. I'm sure they are, because we believe that we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for our ancestors. They do connect with us.
I mean, I think Halloween okay, it's a spooky time and everybody likes to tell spooky ghost stories and things like that. But originally it was a time, I would have thought it would be in a time of much more celebration, like the celebration of the dead. I mean, they used to build huge, great bonfires. And it used to they used to say this was the best time to make predictions too, actually, because they used to do things like, I think they call it pyromancy, where you look into the fires to tell fortunes. And in the medieval times, it became a bit more trivialized to the idea of selecting, when you take the apples out of a barrel and things like that. And
what about the Roman gods
know who they were who their husband was going to be and things like that, those sort of prophecy things. But it goes back to a time, I think, when there was, this is actually quite an important, powerful time, being trivialized into a kids event. But actually, if we started to get back to some of those old ideas of the Druids and the Celts, and know that what this energy of these times is really about, it could be a really important time if particularly we were collectively, connecting, like seances.
And you were saying that you could see your future person in a fire. Could you change that image if you didn't like the look of that?
Well, no, it was a form of telling the future.
Well, they used to do it with a candle, didn't they, in front of a mirror? And you used to have my grandmother, she used to be like a white witch. She used to put a candle in front of the mirror, and if you saw an apparition or a face, that would be your future person that you end up with.
Yeah, but I think the Celts would do it much more like fire. When you go to India and we do things like the yagnas or homas, they're called, where you do these big fire ceremonies, they're tremendously powerful things.
Very.
And it's the same thing here the Celts would have done. This would have been a time when you would have had the Western equivalent of the homas and the yagnas, in which the fire was used as a holy thing. And it was a holy thing to connect with the Brahma Loka, the next world life of through the power of fire. So, fantastic. I think
isn't that lovely? I just love these people. Creative living evening. I'm a little late, Jen. You look fabulous, don't I, darling? Don't I just look fabulous? Mix and match tonight, Craig.
Domenico selects all the comments, but I just get the nasty ones. Particularly since my last little rant that I gave. If you saw my last video about light workers.
No, we won't go into that.
So, how will this weekend affect the USA election, Craig? And any truths coming out?
Well, we still think Trump will get in, don't we?
I still strongly feel Trump's going to make it.
At the last moment.
I'm ordering myself some paper hats to eat just in case I get it wrong. But no, I think there is a major power in the air at the moment, I think. And you know, and a lot of the things I said in the predictions have come true. I mean, I said there'll be a last-minute scandal over Biden, which has happened. I mean, all the
money laundering,
the laptop from hell with all the
money laundering
stuff in there about money laundering, and the rest of it is in there from Hunter's stuff. So I think that's going to have a major effect. I also said there would be a lot of environmental crises. If you remember, if you look back on that, what the ones I made, I said there'd be a whole load of environmental crises at this time. We just had those huge earthquakes in Turkey today, and America has had I believe has had massively bad weather throughout America, which is unprecedented. So that's all happened. And a whole load of things that I was saying about was going to happen with Biden. I'd said Biden would get sick. He hasn't seemed to got sick, although he seems to cough a bit. But I thought he would also get sick at the same time. But a lot of the things I was saying are happening. And I wonder if it's all connected with this energy that we've got in the air as well. Because, you know, I think like, what is his name? Farage said, he said it's not just and I think he overdoes it with his election stuff, but it's not just the fact that it's the leader of the world is going to be elected, whether it's Biden or Trump, you know, and some powerful forces are ahead at this time, and to be having the election right by Halloween like this,
spooky, Craig,
it is kind
spooky,
of strange energy, whether it's for good or bad, goodness knows, you know. I mean, I don't like either candidate, just like I don't like any of the candidates here in the UK, really.
Justin's now.
Do you believe that karma happens on Halloween and the dead speak to the living?
Well, they do speak to the living, don't they?
So what do you think? What do you think about the question?
Well, I believe that certain people, because I think Justin's worrying about his father. That's what it is, because his father's passed. But sometimes, who can say? It depends, doesn't it?
Does karma happen on Halloween? I mean, karma happens all the time, really, doesn't it? I mean,
people think Halloween's bad, don't they? That bad things going to happen.
I think
to you.
the moon's a very powerful force, and I think this time of year is a powerful time. I think it's something we've completely lost touch with. Christianity tried to stamp out the old Samhain festivities, and it tried to turn it into all Saints Day and things like that, and they shifted a celebration from May and turned it into tried to stamp out all the old festivals. Easter was stamped out because what was originally Orster, which was the old Sumerian ancient celebrations, or Saturnium for the I think it's called Saturnium, isn't it, for the old Roman celebrations of Christmas. I mean, the Christian thing tried to sort of stamp all these things down, but Halloween was one of those they just couldn't get rid of for some reason, could they? You know, the Christians now get really upset with if people trick or treat at the door because they say these kids are in league with the devil.
Christians, especially some of these Catholics, got a lot to answer for, these priests.
And it's the Christians that demonized Halloween, turned it into a demonic thing. It was never meant to be a demonic thing. Connecting with the dead is not necromancy or not negative. It's connecting with the spirit, the people we know and love in the spirit world. So Halloween has been turned into something that is terrible. Some of the superstitions at the time, early back, they used to worry about, because the dead were in touch with us, they used to dress as animals and things, and dress in scary costumes to stop the fairies taking their souls, you know, because they had that superstitious side to it as well. But it was never meant to be a dreadful, frightening idea, really, if you think back to it.
Joe says apparently they used to carve turnips and not pumpkins. That's true, because they used to be quite sinister looking and make them like teeth. That's because in those days the farmers, they had all these turnips, so they used to put that around the churches.
Yeah, turnips and gourds they used to use as well. It was the Irish that started the idea of the pumpkin, I think. Started to use the pumpkin as a Halloween jack-o'-lantern. They used to carry him around as again to keep away the spirits, didn't they, at the time? So it was it's like I was saying, it's you couldn't get rid of it, you know. And I'm glad Halloween still persists, even though it's in a kind of a trivialized, commercialized form. I mean, it was particularly the Celts such as the Welsh, the Irish, and the Scots, kept those old traditions alive.
It's good.
And then when the Irish immigrated to America, they brought some of their traditions with them from it. And of course, you know, Americans thought, hey, this is great. And then people thought, hey, we can commercialize this. And it turned into something completely bonkers, really, because now, I mean, look at our Halloween celebrations when we do them, you know, they're crazy. Aren't they, really?
I think it's fun.
So we turned it into a fun event now. But perhaps we lost something, do you think, with it? If we'd had a serious celebration of communicating with the dead, a Day of the Dead, where we genuinely communicate with the spirit world, would be, I can't see that ever happening in this society, you know. What's he put up there?
Yeah, see how spooky they look.
Yeah.
Look at the teeth in that.
Yeah.
In fact, they look much more sinister than pumpkins, I think.
Yeah.
I think they're great. They look as if they've just popped up from a grave, don't they?
Yeah. I think it's good. I'd like to get back to the old traditional. I'm surprised. I suppose some of the Wicca people do celebrate Halloween properly, you know, as it were. But, you know, I think the energy that we send out at the moment, all the trick or treat business, I mean, that all came originally from a prank or something, I believe, the trick or treat business.
I expect in the New Forest,
Scotland.
Especially around Burley, they would have Halloween because there's a famous witch there called Sybil the Witch.
Yeah, she was well known in America too, Sybil Leek.
That's it. Oh, I've just mentioned witches, and witches have come up, Craig. Lisa would like to know, what are your thoughts on the Pendle witches? What are your thoughts?
I don't know enough about the Pendle witches' history to be able to properly comment on it. Obviously, there's been lots of movies made about it, and there's some great stuff out there. But I don't know enough about the actual real history of it to be able to really properly comment on that. I'm sorry, Lisa. So that's just weaknesses in my knowledge there.
It doesn't mean witches were bad, because you had white witches as well, didn't you?
Yeah, we were down in Chichester, wasn't it? Where when we saw the ducking stool down there. The ducking. Do you remember the ducking stool down by the car?
Well, you might have been in Chichester. I was in Dorset that I saw it.
Was it Chichester?
No, Dorset,
Christchurch.
yes.
Christchurch, not Chichester.
You're going a different direction.
They got a ducking stool down in Christchurch, and that would have been they would have ducked the witches. And we think, what's a witch? You know, anybody with clairvoyant ability, a witch. Anybody that don't agree with what the church says, a witch.
They originally had it for nagging wives.
Nagging wives, yeah.
And if they drowned, they were innocent. If they floated, they were guilty. But either way, you couldn't win, could you?
I don't know. I like the sound of this. For nagging wives, you say. Yeah. That would kill the DIY industry, wouldn't it?
It's just an excuse.
But yeah.
There you go.
Does Mercury retrograde have any relevance as well with the energy at this time of year? By the way, Jane looks so beautiful.
I do. Thank you. Thank you. I'll be signing my autographs later.
Yeah. I mean, Mercury retrograde, I suppose people think of it as a bit of a negative energy, don't they? Because Mercury appears to go backwards in the sky. And it's only an illusion because of the position of the Earth to Mercury. And I know a lot of people always get kind of freaked out by Mercury being retrograde. And I don't know, with any of the astrology, whether we should guide our lives too badly by it. Because I mean, Yogananda used to get people to do everything when the stars were really bad to show that, you know, the spirit of our soul can overcome it. Craig, but it is important too. Yeah, it is important too. Yeah, I don't know what the astrology is. I haven't even looked it up for this today, and so it's new to me, even that we got the blue moon. So, but I'm sure that at this time of year, like it's the immediate point between the two equinoxes, so it's a turning point. And the ancients would have taken a great deal of importance to the equinoxes, and this is why we've got Christmas and so on when we have, because they're close to those. And also times.
Wolf's full moon as well. The wolf's like full moon.
But we've definitely lost touch with it, I think. You know, because we're not living with nature. If you were living with nature and you'd watch the moon every night, you know exactly what the energies of the stars and positions of the stars would be, because you'd be looking at it.
I don't know what this
We don't
means.
even go outside half the time. Elaine, I'll be quiet about politics now. Okay, we've picked our own pumpkin fields here, very popular.
It is here too.
Yeah. I don't know where you are.
Our grandchildren have been in the field picking.
They've been
pumpkins.
out today. Yeah, they've been out today.
Because you can make pumpkin jam, you can make pumpkin pie, all things with pumpkins.
Yeah. The pumpkin was quite a new addition to Halloween, I think. And like the person was saying, it was the turnip before.
It's the original
not quite
one.
as fun though, is it?
I don't know. I think it's quite
turnip,
nice.
I mean, it's not.
I think it's quite nice and sinister, don't you?
Yeah.
In a beautiful way.
Yeah.
No, I think it's nice and that, but you do get a lot of people that really don't like Halloween.
Yeah. I mean, the mischief business that started a bit later on. It wasn't originally part of the Halloween festivals. I'm not quite sure. I'm trying to remember when it was, because people used to dress up. I believe I think I read somewhere that it started off as a bit of a prank, the mischief thing in Scotland.
Right.
And if I've got it right, correct me if I'm wrong. You can put a note up and tell me I'm wrong if I'm wrong. But I believe the actual trick or treats business started as a sort of a bit of a prank at the time, and it developed quite late in the whole history.
You be careful you don't get egged or floured.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Because they used to, came from Scotland and Ireland and things like that. The idea of trick or treating, I know, and so it developed specifically there. And like I say, it went over to America from there. So the original Halloween got very lost. As Christians tried to change it, then America changed it when it became, and then big commerce changed it, and they re-exported it back here. And we go just as crazy as Americans now with our Halloween stuff. In fact, we go worse than anybody, don't we? Some years. You too are adorable. That's good. Not just Jane, right? That's good. I like you, a DM diver. You can come again. Do you have pets come through during readings very often?
They do. Sometimes people come just exclusively that their pets come through, and they don't tell us exactly. We actually see the pet and describe it. It could be anything from a Great Dane to a cat. It all depends, and a person has a personal connection with that pet, and it's wonderful that they do come through. Isn't it?
Yeah.
You have pets, Craig?
Yeah, lots and lots and lots of times. And it's amazing how they give the proof sometimes too.
Well, for example, you might have a cat that suddenly lands on your lap that we see, and this cat might have passed because it has something wrong with its kidneys or cancer in the kidneys. And then you've got a relative or a loved one telling you what that cat's got wrong with them. Then you pass that message on, and the person is pleased with that.
Yeah, and that's the important bit, that there is somebody that's there in the spirit that is the communicator, because the animals don't start suddenly doing a Dr. Dolittle with us and talking. But it might be, say, the person's grandparents might come through and say, I'll tell you all about her pets. They're here with me, and I've had some woman came to me. I don't want to talk to anybody in the spirit world. I just want the animals. I hate people. I said, well, I've got to give you somebody, because otherwise, and so I made a link. Well, I can't remember who it was. I made a link, but I gave her a proof of somebody on the spirit, which was a grandparent or something like that. And then I said, now they say you had a horse, and the horse had bad teeth and things like this, and then had to have this done by the vet and that done by the vet, and then you had this. I went through a whole list of things. But the human communicator was able to give lots of really tiny details to prove that it's not just a dog in the spirit, but it's a dog that died at this date, or buried under the registry.
It's quite a comfort as well to people, because some people, they might not have children, they might not have loved ones with them, and it might be their only connection with something that's living.
Yeah.
So it's quite
nice.
And
so maybe during Halloween also the spirits of the animals would come closest, particularly the animals, I think, because it's a celebration linked very much with the idea of the fairy kingdom and the old ancient ideas of the nature spirits. Yeah. So Stacey says, I possess all of the Claire's
I don't understand that.
Hang on just a minute. I possess all of the Claire's except clairvoyance. Is it possible to develop that one?
What does that mean?
I think that's a spell checker doing that for her, isn't it? Claire's. So you've got.
Is she talking about Claire Petrolini?
No, she's probably talking about psychic gifts, I think. So I assume you possess all psychic gifts except clairvoyance. Is that possible to do that one? Okay, clairvoyance. Well, it depends what you mean by clairvoyance, because it can mean literally clear seeing, but in ESP, in Ryan's definition of it, we have telepathy, clairvoyance, precognition, psychokinesis, and so forth. Clairvoyance is more like being able to. Some people call it seeing as opposed to hearing.
It's an extra sixth sense, and that you're knowing.
So, I mean, all of the gifts can come in different ways. Everybody has certain amounts of this, and also the gifts that you're using when you're doing communications vary depending what you're trying to do. So if someone wants to know their future, you're using the gift of precognition to see the future. If someone is trying to communicate with the spirit world, you're going to use things like clairaudience, which is where you hear the spirit, clairvoyance, which will sometimes be called as seeing it in your mind's eye.
Correct.
And then sometimes there's also people will see it in your mind, and some people see it objectively. So they project it from their mind into the world, so they see it as a figure or something like that. So everybody uses different gifts. All of it strung together with what we call clairsentience, which is the sensing, because underlying it all is the clairsentience. So if you want to develop clairvoyance, you want to develop precognition, or any of it, your focus ought to be clairsentience, because that's the bedrock of psychic development. So that's my thoughts on that.
That's a good answer, Craig.
Yeah. So that's in a nutshell.
Blanche is saying, how do I get help connecting with my loved ones, please? My answer to that, Blanche, is find a good medium, one that's recommended. And it doesn't necessarily mean if you go to a medium that you can demand any particular spirit contact. You will know when the time's right. You'll be guided to the right medium. That's all I feel.
For getting messages, you need to, and it's best if you can see a medium face to face. I know we do it by phone and things like that, but if you can get a face to face connection, and if you're in the UK, there, look into spiritualism, because I mean you get demonstrations every Sunday night within spiritualism. People know that I have a few comments about the way they do it there, but at least there's mediums working there. It's a good way. And actually, on the patron site, I'm now doing some Zoom meetings for those of you that are patrons that watch this. So if you're a patron on the site, or one of the Elysium or Olympus patrons levels tiers, you'll be able to join me for a bit of psychic development discussion and practice online through Zoom. So that's all through the patron. So if you're interested in the patrons, you will find a description in the description below. When we'll have to later when we put the description in on this video, but certainly if you're a patron, you can start learning a little bit there if that's what you're interested in, if part of the question. Jane?
Julie, do you believe in fairies? And if so, are they part of the angelic realm? Well, I've never seen a fairy, and I believe in Conan Doyle's time there was two sisters, Elsie and what's the other one called?
Oh, I can't remember the two names, but the Cottingley fairies.
Yeah, they had cut out fairies, and people really believed it, and it wasn't true. Yes, I do believe there's angelic realms. I do believe we've got angels and seraphims, but I believe that there's lots of things on earth that we can't really explain. There's unusual things happening around us all the time.
Well, fairies were in the past. Of course, they've all been changed now, and we see all
the little people.
Things we get with fairies. But fairies are actually wicked creatures normally. If you look at most of the stories about fairies, they were soul-grabbing earth spirits, right? So fairies were feared, right? So they were kind of seen as
incubi,
not really. Incubi? No, they were more like the idea of the not incubi and things. It was more like the idea of nature spirits, So if you believe, to talk about nature spirits, I definitely believe in nature spirits, because I mean, you can go through the woodlands, for example, and if you're really sensitive to the energies of the places, there's a sense that the woodlands connect, that the trees connect with an energy. that certain species of trees, for example, you might be a whole woodland full of silver birch, for example, and you might feel the whole connection of those trees interconnecting with each other. And it's a hard thing to qualify. No way I can prove that to anybody. But if you go into these places, and I'm sure some of you must get that same feeling, you can feel the connection of nature. Now, that's what I would call an energy. That's what I would call perhaps an earth spirit of some sort, that the wood has its spirit, that the rivers have their spiritual energy, that the grass even has its spiritual energy, that the mushrooms in the ground have their spiritual energy. We have a mycelium of these connections spiritually in nature. And that's what I would say the fairies are. The angels or angelic kingdoms, again, it's all been crushed by so much stupidity and fantasy, particularly these people that write in the chat magazines and things. But the angelic kingdoms are basically the higher kingdoms of the spirit world. And so the two things, they're all the same. They're all part of spirit.
Well,
but they're
when you're talking about fairies,
aspects.
Craig, the girl across the road was walking through the woods and happened to see something in the corner of her eye, and she took a photograph, and it was like a green orb and shot across.
Yeah.
Like you say, energies.
Where did she see that?
Over in Stoke Woods.
Yeah.
Because she asked me what it was.
Yeah.
Because she couldn't understand it. It wasn't a trick of the camera or anything.
No, I know we get things like fireflies and things, but we don't get that here, do we? Mm-hmm. I mean, and I think if you, like I was saying at the beginning, this whole thing with the Halloween thing, Halloween came from the old times when we were connected with nature.
Yeah.
You know. And we'd be burning big fires in woodland areas. You imagine the atmosphere that must have been for that in the earlier days.
If your senses are heightened, sometimes you can hear a blade of grass moving, and you can see an aura around it if you really watch it
you
carefully.
Do. And if you watch the trees, you can see the energy around all the branches of the trees. It's like
it's sort of
and
like
even if
an
you
aura.
look at the stars, I see the lights to connect the stars.
It's wonderful.
It's all interconnected. And it's all part of this fantastic, wonderful energy that also connects with the next world too.
God's energy. So
it's a great shame that we're not in connection, and that our whole world has become plastic and trivialized and material. You know, I think one day we'll go back to those things, perhaps with the new things we've learned.
Spirit, can you really be cursed or have a spell cast over you? How do you protect yourself? Well, many people believe they've been cursed in past lives, don't they, Craig? And this life, they've got to lift the curse, or they think, well, gypsies used to say, I'll curse you or put a hex on you. That was just to frighten people. Nothing could harm you unless you allow it to harm you. Nobody can curse you.
I think the opposite. I think you I think you can put negative thing onto someone. I think you can put a curse on someone.
You don't allow it.
But it depends if you accept it. That's true. Whether you allow it into your frame. And often a lot of it is tied up with psychology, because if a person knows they're cursed and they're going to be, if a person this person will be ill and they know that that's the fact, then their own subconscious mind will make it happen to them. Like it's like the placebo effect. You know, the person believes they've had a thing. Sometimes they get well even with a placebo. You know, give them a sugar pill and tell them it's a powerful medicine, and they get better. And opposite can happen on the psychological level. But I also think it can happen on a level where a person can send negative energy to someone. I mean, we can send healing to someone. Why can't we also send the opposite?
But you don't allow people in your zone with negative energy, do you?
Well, that's it. You're protected. So you're protected naturally, I think. So only when you know that someone's giving you that curse, that's why it's important to hand them something.
Your ancestors and your spirit guides and your loved ones on the other side will protect you.
Yes, as well. Yeah. I mean, I think people get a little bit over worried with those type of things too. But
I mean, how many lives can you be cursed, for goodness sake?
Well, you're cursed by yourself ultimately, aren't you? Because you carry your own karma if you're negative.
Nothing could harm you if you are strong. You've got to be very strong.
I think if you walk in the light, as it were, then you're always protected. And the best way to get rid of a curse, I always think, I think the most powerful mantra for that is the Gayatri mantra for removing and blocking a curse. If anybody has worries about things, look it up. It's out there. On a similar theme to Ouija boards, does using pentagrams call up undesirable or evil spirits.
Well, Aleister Crowley comes to mind when I'm reading that.
Yeah, well, so what do you think about pentagrams and things like that?
Well, once again, it's an old pagan thing, isn't it? That goes right back.
Yeah.
And that what they used, and the pointed stars symbolism, and putting candles around and calling up, and that. It's people trying to gain power, isn't it? Again.
Well, I wouldn't probably not believed it in the past, but I kind of believe in the power of amulets and things now. Talismans and amulets and things like that, because I got so interested in that from the stuff in India, but these things are made after the rituals have been done. So, for example, when some of the ceremonies are done with the mantras that were said for me by the priests in India to clear past karma, when it's finished, a fire is made and a copper plate is made and things stamped into that copper plate that you keep, and I carry with me that small one that was made in the fires.
Well, I was given a talisman by a Tibetan monk, and I still got it in my room.
Yeah. So I think they can have a power. I think just the shape and things is not enough. It has to have
power.
It has to have had the rituals done with it, So in the West we have things like pentagrams. In the East they would have other type of mandalas and yantras and things like this, which would be used. And I think there's a power to those things. But they're really a reminder. So I have one that protects me, that is kind of like a reminder that the energy's been sent. Really, that's how I see it. That the 3 months of mantras.
Well, I wish you would use your energy that's been sent.
Yeah, for hoovering and things like that. I don't think that was the intent, was it?
Halloween was a big party in Scotland when I grew up. Fun games and party tricks. Craig, you're much more chilled out. I bet Jane has worked well on you. You're well matched yin and yang. I think we are.
Yeah, I think we're well matched.
No more supper for
I
you.
don't want to get in trouble. Yeah. She's saying I'm chilled out because she must have seen my recent one where I have a go at light workers.
God, terrible.
I like doing the occasional rant, and I think it's quite a good idea to do that sometimes.
Oh, that's sweet. Isn't
tread
that
the
lovely?
ground that angels fear to tread.
Mr. Hamilton Parker.
Was it Craig and Jane? You are the only two people I know of who are adamant on providing genuine proof of afterlife.
That's really sweet. Isn't it?
Yes, and I wish we could get a better platform for it. I mean, we have got coming up a small theatre show here in Southampton at the Concord Club. If it goes ahead,
November the 24th, and it starts at 7:30. And the proceeds from that will go into the foundation to feeding the poor. If we can, we'd like to film it, but of course, there's lots of practical problems with that at the moment with the coronavirus. So, yeah, I mean, we come into our own when we're on the theatre, really, on the platform. I like the theatre.
We're both good at that.
I prefer the theatre rather than television. I don't like television.
Yes. But we find it's such a lot. Some of these other mediums are so geared up for that. They've got a whole publicity team behind them. And we're not like that. We don't want to be doing it like that. And some of those I'm so suspect of. I just want to give proof of life after death. I think, I was trained to give evidence. I was trained by a policeman with my original circle that I was taught. And he said, you've got to provide the evidence. So I felt like I'm a cop, But he's right. You've got to give proof, because without the proof, you might as well be just giving all sorts of baloney. And people do. They just give baloney. Evidence. Without the evidence and proof and the verifiable things that you can give through mediumship, then it is pretty much worthless. And that's the mediumship side of it. The mediumship is the best part, actually. And everybody calls me to book my readings, and you want predictions. Well, that's fair enough. But it's the mediumship where the real power lies in what we can do, don't you think?
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
Where our gift really should be. Yeah. The veil between the spirit and ourselves is getting thinner. Yes, well, that's supposed to be the fact on Halloween, isn't it?
Yeah, what's that famous film? Blithe Spirit. Have you seen
it?
It
sounds much more spooky when you
like
put it
Blithe
that way,
Spirit.
Joe, doesn't it?
Yeah, Blithe Spirit.
It sounds sort of like a sort of
Madame Zaza.
But actually, the spirit world come closer to us? Is that that's it's not the dead coming in skeletons and sort of shadowy figures and
the juju man,
Grim Reaper and the juju man, is it? It's the dead. Who are the dead? The dead are the people we care for. My granddad, your nan, and all the rest of them. All those that are in the spirit.
The spirit's gone on to heavenly place.
Yeah,
prove it.
So it's not a matter of something spooky, but yeah, perhaps it does become a little bit thinner. Even if it doesn't, let's think it does, and it might help us to make an easier connection with the next world, don't you think? Yeah, it's a good thing to communicate, because everybody can connect with the spirit world, not just mediums. You get it through dreams, you get it through a feeling, a sensation, all sorts of ways the spirit can show you that they're there.
Right, Lisa says, can you have a gift that isn't developed or that you have blocked? I don't seem to have any abilities, though some in my family do. It depends if you really want to be on that spiritual journey. Most people, I would say, got their own intuition, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I think you've got to allow yourself to open to it, Lisa, and believe in it, really. Like Uri Geller used to say, believe, but in a way you do have to kind of accept what's coming. I don't mean you have to believe everything, because people can get carried away with fantasy, but it comes subtly and gently through your feelings.
Yeah,
through your thoughts.
She's very sensitive.
You sense, and your dreams. Maybe just write your dreams down. That's a good way in for these things. And the good dreams are a good way to get rid of all sorts of psychological and spiritual blockages too, because dreams are there trying to heal the soul all the time. They're talking about healing of the body.
Keep a dream diary. It's a good idea.
Yeah, do something like that, and that's a good way for a person who, if you're not sitting in a circle and you're not being developed by a medium, to get started, and learn to connect. And I'm doing a meditation on Monday, by the way, if people want to join me for that, talking about connecting. Because of these elections coming up, I'm going to do a live meditation to send out some power to the world for healing things. So if you want to join me live, there will be a YouTube up there. That should be up there. We might have deleted it accidentally. If it's not, we'll put it up again. But there will be a link, one of those coming up, so watch out for that. And it'll also, I'll send a link out to all the patrons so you can join us too. It was suggested by the patrons, actually. Sorry, I'm off. Yeah, Consciously Aware. Now that's a good name for someone to be born
consciously
with,
Craig.
Yes. I christened this child Consciously Aware. You'd be thinking of all
or
your
a blinking
life.
Nuisance.
Hey, consciously.
Or a blinking nuisance.
Anyway, that's your username. Notice how Halloween colors are low vibration colors, black and orange. What crystals do you recommend to bring out positive guide energy?
I always think the amethyst is a beautiful clairvoyant stone. It's a beautiful stone. It's associated with Pisceans, but orange is an energy, because you get it here in my solar plexus. Black isn't a bad color.
Well, those Halloween colors are only because of the modern day attitude to commercialization of Halloween. And we choose everything dark, everything spooky, everything like these lovely funereal purples and
thank you, Craig,
we're wearing today. A lovely taste of venereal mauve. So work with colors. Colors change our mood very much. The colors we wear change our mood, don't they? The colors we surround ourselves in our house. I remember going to a solicitor's. Do you remember that solicitor we employed once? And he had the walls of his
bright red.
He was
Jewish,
red.
Wasn't he?
Bloody hell, he was like a rock fighter, wasn't he? And I thought, with that color around him all the time, this is the man we want. He'll go for it, So the colors we surround ourselves will soothe us and things. And the colors all the primary colors are always good colors to have in your life, because they're pure colors, like all the colors you'd find in the rainbow. Those are all the colors that are. But when you start putting darker colors around yourself, it will influence your psychology and your mood. If you start painting everything like battleship gray, or you start painting things in olive green, too much of that becomes very heavy on the spirit, I think, because are
you trying to say black's not a good color then? Black's
a neutral color, really. I like black as a color. I think it looks good on people. Black.
That's because Domenico's got all black.
Black and white are neutral colors, really. But it depends. what colors you put with it, really, doesn't it? And also the toning and use of colors.
But I think an amethyst crystal is a beautiful crystal to have because enhance your clairvoyance as well from the third eye.
Yeah, that's always a nice, and it depends on you too. I mean,
what you drawn
we might
to.
even be drawn to colors that are connected with what's in our aura, you know. And
you might.
Craig, please do co-write a book on your sittings and what comes through would be so insightful. Well, there are some out there.
Psychic Casebook.
Yeah, the Psychic Casebook has it. Half the problem has been trying to trace the people back, isn't it? Because sometimes you give evidence on, say, a spiritualist platform, and you can't, you know, it's only my word, isn't it? When we do that, because you need to get the person to give the testimonials.
I think a good book that you could really write is Children That Came Through from the Spirit World.
Perhaps we should get Linda Dearsley to write one about the two of us and pick up on all those stories.
Well, funny enough, she will be at the Concord Club on the 24th of November introducing us.
Yes, you will, hopefully. We haven't told her that yet, though.
Well, you better get on to it then.
So, last question, folks, now. So we're going to come to an end soon. Sorry about the difficult start, but we run over a little bit instead. And don't forget, if you've enjoyed this, do share it, particularly share it on Facebook, because that, you know, if you're watching it on Facebook, you can share it and other people will start to join us and like our page and follow us. And on YouTube, you know, give it a like, because that will also help us to rank the video. And do hit the little bell thing, because if you come in here for the first time and you've come in after it's live, if you click that little bell thing and click the notifications thing, you'll get notifications when we go live. And particularly if you become a patron on the site, you'll also be much more connected with me and Jane.
And thanks to all our patrons.
We'll talk to you through the patrons section of the site. Okay, so, and there's lots of other stuff, of course, that's going on just for patrons that the rest of you don't see. And there's going to be more of that as we go on, particularly as we get the studio that we're putting that money towards to get us our first center, as it were. And of course, you can follow us all on various things like Twitter and Facebook and so forth. And Jane is even on Instagram, aren't you, Jane?
I've been on there for a while, Craig.
I don't go on Instagram, but that's one you can follow. So that's just Jane.
I just put pictures up of Boo and around the house and everything.
Just all the fun stuff, really, isn't it? You know, and same on the patron site. We put our year before last Halloween up on there and things like that. You know. So coming on to the last ones now, Carla saying, Karina, sorry, I've got my glasses on. After a stroke I had last summer, I can't remember my dreams. If I dream, I'm sad about it. Something wrong with my communication, I guess.
Well, I don't think there's anything wrong, Karina, with your communication. It's just that you've been through a lot and it takes time to heal, doesn't it?
Yeah, I've never heard of a stroke affecting dreams.
No, but
I don't think it probably would, because it's the substrata of all our thinking anyway, isn't it, really?
Yeah, but you're talking about communication.
Yeah, the subconscious is the subconscious. So you're probably worrying because you're worrying you don't remember them. And most people don't, because people forget their dreams. They don't think about their dreams. But like Jane said earlier on, if you get a diary, have a dream journal or a dream diary, and you start writing down, if you're not getting a dream, wake up and just write down the first thoughts on your mind. Okay, the first thing that comes to your mind when you don't worry about putting a dream down, just write the first thing that comes in your head. Or if you can't even think of that, just write what you're feeling when you wake up. All right, you know, and then gradually each time you do this in the mornings, you'll find that it might even start, I remember something I was dreaming about now. You know, so that's a good way to get started if you're really stuck with remembering your dreams. Just write down your first feelings, because dreams are very connected with that. And your first thought of the day, as it were. Don't try to be creative with it or try to be structured with it. Whatever comes to mind, even if it's something stupid, and that'll help trigger your dream memories. And I'm sure that it hasn't affected you on that level. I think you're worrying unduly there, personally. Are fairies real? Well, we've answered that, didn't we? Because we said that they're like earth spirits, and so in a way, yes, they are, but not the twinkly Tinkerbelly sort of fairy type of idea.
I'm your Tinkerbell.
Like I say, fairies are scary things.
I'm your Tinkerbell fairy.
Tinkerbell. Thank you, Greg and Jane. This was wonderful. Indeed, it was wonderful. Wasn't it? And it's wonderful because you've all come and joined us too. So thanks for joining us. Yes, you enjoyed that. Good. I'm glad you enjoyed. You thought it was a good discussion. Thanks. And don't forget, put some comments afterwards in the comments below when it's finished, because it's quite nice to see your comments. And I do try to. I've been trying to respond to them recently.
It'd be nice to actually see
a lot more.
Actually, nice to see all the faces. Actually.
Well, you only see them from their profile. But we can do video connections with people, which we can do.
Oh,
run
you've
this a bit
seen Boo.
like
Oh, he's asleep on the bed.
Yeah, I've not seen Boo.
He's fast asleep.
He's sleeping on my pillow, I expect. Are you on tomorrow? No, we're not on tomorrow night. Monday is the next time I'm on Monday doing a healing type of meditation, and it'd be nice if you join us for that, because I'd like to get some real energy up for that, because we do live in pretty bad times at the moment, and it'd be nice to do something. Yeah, so we'll be on every Friday, of course, and there's other videos come out.
Yes, I only come on a Friday, but I will start coming on Facebook.
Yeah, Jane's going to do some lives on Facebook soon, actually. So watch out for that too. So go to our Facebook page, and Jane's going to do just Jane stuff on there.
Wonderful.
Yes, without the annoyance of me around you.
Thank you, Nana. Yeah. Bless you.
Agility Bits. Thank you for joining us, Pat. Yeah.
Dogs.
Yeah, we've been seeing you putting some nice posts on the patron site and so forth. Thanks. Yeah, thank you, folks, for joining us. Have a nice weekend indeed. I think it's going to be a washout for Halloween here in the UK.
Jane. Bye, Patrice.
Which is probably just as well because of the social distancing. The kids will probably mostly be at home, won't they? Well, I love this video. Good discussion. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Twilight.
Yeah. It's your questions make a lot of difference, because we come in pretty much unscripted, just a few facts that I keep to the side here. But it's your questions that trigger this. Thanks for an interesting night.
Thank you, Kathy.
Yes, thanks for joining. See quite a lot of people coming in. Familiar people coming in. Thank you. So thanks for joining us so regularly and coming every week. Tell all your friends, as well as sharing all this as well, because it's always Sally again. We're going to watch her.
It's good night.
I thought we were banned, Sally. Where's that button? Where's that button?
Thank you, Justin. It's lovely, Justin. Yeah.
And Elaine.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. Okay, bye, guys. Yeah.
Bye, Elaine.
Thank you all then. So we're going to say bye for now. And thanks for joining us. See you soon. Bye for now.